You are not enough. That's the title of today's video. Clickbait, if ever I've done a title for a YouTube video. This is the Action for Happiness number 6 video over the last month. So much for doing it daily. That's just, I'm not putting any pressure on myself. I do it when I feel like it and when I've got time, frankly, because the job's mental. I am Richie Andrew, introvert. You might think opposite being on videos, but it's easy talking to a camera and there's no one else around you. And I am doing these Action for Happiness videos. And Action for Happiness is a well-being happiness campaign, which is about and they have this monthly calendar, daily ideas, nudges for things you can do for yourself for your own well-being. And September, we've said goodbye to altruistic August, about giving to others and kindness, and we're now saying hello to self-care September. And the reason I've called this video "You Are Not Enough" is because the great Brene Brown, who is my favourite researcher by far, is an American lass. She's done some lass. I bet she'd love it, wouldn't she? It's a lass from America. She's done years and years of research about shame and vulnerability, and how the key to wholehearted living is about being comfortable with shame in a trust circle and embracing vulnerability. Basically, the things that we often try and bury, hide behind a mask, and don't celebrate. Actually, we don't have a culture of celebrating failure, do we? Which is actually very important, because you look at anyone who has any successes in any level, and it's all about failure after failure after failure and persevering, keep going. So what's the date today? Is the 6th of September today. And the first thing it says is that 1st September is find time for self-care. It's not selfish, it's essential. We always feel selfish, don't we, whenever we're taking time out for ourselves, because there's always fucking other things to do. There's always like family shit, there's guilt about not getting those things done, there's, cleaning in the house, there's shopping, there's things that need repairing. I haven't got time to sit down and take time for myself. Well, yeah, you can better, because, a lot of those things that build up over time and cause you problems, when you have a bit of a breakdown or a little, whatever it could be, actually is building up in all of us slowly. We need to take time for self-care, doing things for ourselves that make ourselves happy. So it's not selfish, and as Action for Happiness quite blatantly say, it's essential. Sometimes you might not think of it as self-care, spending time, whether it's spending time with friends, trying to do new activity to develop new friendships if you're quite isolated, whatever it could be. Notice the things you do well, however small. Those small things, if we just spend a little bit of time with it in our minds, thinking about them and how we are good and how we've done good, whether it's for others, for ourselves, something we've achieved, however small, it's worth thinking about. And that's because we can start to train our brains, isn't it, to be more positively orientated, not be so negatively biased. Here's a big one for you. Let go of self-criticism and speak to yourself kindly. I am someone, I run. When I'm running, twice in the last week, I've been a lot of stress at work recently. A lot of things going on at home. A lot of stuff going on that I'm trying to achieve. So a lot of my time has been in training and stuff. And actually, I felt quite overwhelmed the last couple of weeks. Like a fucking complete failure. I was out running. Tears started rolling. Thankfully, I had glasses on so no one had to see that. But you know what? Sometimes having a cry is the way out. It's your body's way of coping with that shit. Look at the goddamn state of affairs at the moment. An artificially engineered cost of living crisis, inflation caused by a lockdown that we now know factually to not have been necessary. And certainly when you look at the cost in terms of society from doing those lockdowns, I think it's clear to all of us now, isn't it, that those of us who were before challenging the idea of doing lockdowns, when they tore up the national plan for pandemics and started doing lockdowns and all the money they had to spend to support people out of work and everything, 2 million more now on the waiting lists, and the impact on mental health, it's awful. Look at what they did to the kids. So we're in a pretty dark place, but it doesn't have to be that way. And the most important thing about kind of self-care is also connection. I have been working at home for the best part of 2 years, and I started to say at work, I would go in And I've been in to the office, and the vast majority of times I've been in there, I've been by myself. What's the fucking point of that? I can do that at home. Actually, I spend at least half my time at home is my partner's working alongside me, so I've got conversations. But it's shit. And sometimes I've been in a couple of times, and there've been maybe one or two other people in there. It's not the same. Yeah, I think probably have to accept for a lot of jobs, it's never going to be the same again. It's tough. It's a real tough one. I got in trouble at work for sharing information ahead of the lockdowns about kind of the impact of it. And originally they were talking about 200,000 excess deaths over 10 years. Now it's been ramped up. That government document now says 500,000. I think it was worth it. They're all getting on that train now, aren't they? Oh, it wasn't worth it. I spoke out against it. Yeah, of course you did. So let go of self-criticism. Now, I experience a lot less self-criticism than I used to in my life. First 35 years of my life, I spent a lot of time listening to that voice, those thoughts about myself, and thinking that was fact. And one of the things that I listen to people like the people that Russell Brand interview on his podcast, some of the people that Joe Rogan interviews on his, and many other different podcasts, trigonometry and other things like that. I love it. I love listening to other people's thoughts and wisdom and what they've learned through research and experience and so on. Brilliant. And actually, I realised that I'd spent most of my life being quite insecure, and that can produce all sorts of weird things. But the bottom line is, I was a big self-critic of myself as well, and I was listening to my thoughts and presuming that they were real. And the vast majority of our thoughts are just that, they're thoughts. They're not actually us. We are not our thoughts. That's really worth remembering and practicing and saying back to yourself. We have consciousness, we have thoughts, and it just throws things in our brain. Sometimes it could be nasty shit, and you think, where does that come from? But you have to realise that it's just a brain. It's just your brain, just your consciousness throwing ideas there. Who knows what it means? But the bottom line is it's really your actions who make you. For me, I think that's kind of the key to this, is really, you judge by your actions. And for crying out loud, when you make mistakes, or if you know people that make mistakes, and they're struggling with it, and, reassure them that actually there's learning to be done from that. It's kind of getting better and better is all about isn't life about failure? Isn't it? Isn't life about actually making mistakes and then learning from them and then reflecting them with other people? But what Brene Brown says is about being comfortable with the shame about those mistakes you make and allow yourself to be vulnerable, and ask the questions that other people might be thinking in a meeting or a gathering, whatever it could be, and saying those things. You might get a little bit laughed at first, but actually maybe some of the people in the room are thinking the same thing. And being that bit brave to actually do that can really open your life up to lots of other things, really positive things. We all need to be less judgmental. I think there's a lot of people on a short fuse since lockdowns. I see it in the roads. I see it in interactions. I see lots of things. Don't lose hope. We have the power in our own lives, not them. We do. Collectively, we're an unstoppable force, and we're the only thing that matter. And you are actually enough. I'm not going to go as far as saying you're enough now, because I think there's always that might stop people in their tracks and not doing anymore. And we should be constantly developing, constantly growing. But you're certainly enough compared to kind of negative thoughts about yourself. You might have made terrible mistakes, you might have done bad things to other people, but you can come back from that and you can be a better person. You can recognize that, acknowledge it, and move on and learn from it and keep going with it. Just keep going with it. Forgive yourself when things go wrong. It says everyone makes mistakes. Everyone does. We just don't talk about them as much, do we? I've shitloads of mistakes in my life. Shit tons. And it's been to do with often trying to put that mask on, trying to cover up the things that make me uncomfortable. That's probably, there's a billion reasons. That could be my old man being quite pushy and insecure himself when he was a kid, and then seeing that behaviour and then trying to get to the point in life where I can challenge that and understand it. But anyway, make time to do something you really enjoy, okay? And for fuck's sake, connect with people face to face, eye to eye. And the best way to be heard is to listen. Take interest in other people, in their stories, in what they're saying. Listen to what they're actually saying. What's behind what they're saying. Ask again. Get underneath it. Connect. Tell them you fucking love them. Hug them. Tell them you value them. And how, if it was a really good conversation that made you feel good, tell them that. Because the value of that is It's huge. People remember it. That's not cynical. I'm not saying just tell people how you feel about them. You know, we need to like get back to valuing each other, don't we? Rather than arguing and looking for mistakes and pointing it out. Fuck Twitter, fuck Facebook, fuck all that bullshit off for a while. Stop comparing yourself to others. Forget that shit. People are only putting the best lives out there anyway because they're not comfortable with the shame and vulnerability. And I'm far from perfect, fucking million miles from it. Ah, dear. I ranted on for 10 minutes. That's ridiculous. Enjoy your day. Practice some self-care. Go on the Active for Happiness campaign. They have their calendar in 30 different languages. There's no excuse. I think that probably covers most people in the UK. Get yourself on there. Give it a try. Try and do one thing today. Practice for your self-care. Look after yourselves.